We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there.
Hello friends and fiends, welcome back to another episode of Blood and Guts HHN, where we break down the blood and guts of Halloween Horror Nights. With me as always, Mad Matt. How's it going, Matt?
I'm doing fantastic, Evil Adam, because we get to the parts of the year that we do love, and when we've been back from the event, we've seen what HHN has to offer, and then we can come back, dissect it, and then review it. So,
Yep.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. And tonight we're going to talk to you about the scare zones, folks. This year we had some good ones. We had some kind of off ones, I would say, and some were affected by budget cuts. I would say maybe all of them were affected a little bit by budget cuts due to Epic and those type of things. But let's go ahead and break it down for the folks.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about the budget cuts. So that's going to bring us right to that first scare zone, duality of fear. So, Adam, break it down. How do you feel about this one? What are your thoughts?
This one, a lot of people are saying it, and I'm going to chime right into is it wasn't really even a scare zone. They had this whole split your path or choose your path kind of thing, and all we really got was the chainsaw horde, which wasn't really even a horde. It was probably, 4 to 6 people, and they did a good job. They did a great job. I know that when we were filming them and interacting with them, they were mugging and they were doing their chainsaw thing, but other than that, it just, you had the Sinister and Surreal up on the catwalk doing their little speeches. But, you remember this on last year, had Stilt Walkers, Scare Actors, and Oddfellow and his troupe, and I feel like it didn't even live up to that.
I agree with you 100%. I know this is our nickname for this zone is budget cuts. That's what we've been calling it all year.
Cuts with a Z.
And you hit the nail on the head. It's just disappointing that when you first enter the event, the intention should be to get you pumped up, get you fired up for the event about what you're about to see, and this just doesn't do it. I mean, I do think Sinister and Surreal look great. I do love having them up at the catwalk talking to you, and they have a mic so they can. They're not really playing to the crowd, but they're just kind of saying scripted material. At least when I was there, I didn't really see them play to the crowd. But at least they do have a mic to where if they did want to go off script, I guess they could. Like I said, the scare actors that were there, the very few, did a good job. But a perfect example of how bare this zone is. I mean, there's no set pieces at all.
No.
You do have some fog coming in, but in our video of our walkthrough, there's the video itself is only 5 minutes long, and there's like a minute and a half where you don't even hear screaming or chainsaws going. I don't know what's going on, but that happened a lot in our runs too. Like there's a couple runs where we have where the chainsaws are going off, they're chasing everybody, and then there's some where it's like you just didn't even hiss. It's like there's nobody there.
Right.
And for me, I did not like the choose your path element to it because, you have the path to go down to Hollywood, but if you're going to go all the way down to Torture Fair, that's a long walk. And by the time you get there, where you basically walk through no scare zone as well, you totally forget what you're doing as far as the choose your fear, choose your path, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so that fell short.
So, with that being said, on the Goldblum scale, I know, like for immersiveness, scares, all that wrapped into one, how would you rank this zone?
Yeah, it's 1 Goldblum.
1?
Yeah.
For me, I'd have to go half. And I
half
get
a Goldblum, yeah.
Half for me is just because the scare actors were on point. They done, the ones that were there, true. Give it their all. I know you got a good shot of the one that, does a head turn, all that good stuff. I thought that was fantastic. And, like I said, the chainsaw horde when you ran into them did fine, but the rest of it, like I said, I don't even know. I don't know how they have the cojones to call this a scare zone because it's not to me. It's just normally you could say a scare. Like I know we've had in some years, like with San Francisco last year, we call it a hodgepodge where there's nothing there, like Crypt TV that one year.
Yeah,
this was literally nothing.
There was nothing.
So.
And we just want to go ahead and say for the record too that this does not reflect the acting abilities of this character. We think that all you characters, you work hard as hell all season long, and that's awesome. You can only do so much with what you're given.
It goes back to that saying is like you can't polish a turd. So the idea of this scare zone was a turd, and no matter what you did, you couldn't make anything out of it.
Right.
So moving along there, we're going to choose the path of the Demon Queens going down to Hollywood and work our way back around that way. So throwing it back to you, give me your thoughts on this scare zone and how'd you feel about it?
I like Demon Queens a lot. I thought the characters were really good. The characters really loved that interaction with the camera. The sets were good. The lighting was good. I like when they would get on the float, the parade float type of thing, and they would all do their little shaking whenever she would give the command, and they would it's like almost like they were responding to her and playing in their brains. And that was really cool. But, as far as this zone itself goes, I don't feel like there has been a zone as great as Graveyard Deadly Unrest.
Definitely not in that area, for sure.
Since then, and before then, I feel like Deadly Unrest was the best they've done in Hollywood so far. But this one, you only had 3 set pieces. You had the big float, you had the 2 smaller portals, with the dead bodies at them. And that was cool. They looked really good. Everything looked really good. The costumes were great. The actors were great. But, and once again, budget cuts came in, and I believe,
reared its ugly head.
Yeah, it, didn't go as far as it used to go as far as space-wise in this zone. Whereas the zone used to stretch further, and now it, of course, doesn't. And I hope that after this crap with Epic is settled, that we get our HHN back.
I hope so too, man, because you hit the nail on the head. Everything you had to say. I think scare actors did great. I thought the costumes were great. We did see some costumes that were recycled, which was again budget cuts. And but the scare actors themselves done a fantastic job. Like when they're up on the platforms, they're mugging to the crowd. They're actually interacting with the crowd, so that's always a big plus. They interact with you personally as you go down the street, and they like either get in your face or, especially if you have the camera on, they're giving you good shots and giving you everything they've got. So I thought as far as that goes, it's a fantastic job. This is the first year where, honestly, when I think about it, when we're talking about how they have condensed space, when you've got all that space, and that's part of the reason anytime we go down the Hollywood street, I flip and love it because you have all that space to work with. Right. But this year it actually was smaller than the corridor for Swamp of the Undead. And and I mean, it may not technically be, it just feels that way.
Feels that way. Yeah.
And so that's a big detraction for me, because I shouldn't be able, when I go in here, be able to notice that. If I notice that, then there's a problem.
Right.
And it's kind of like you were talking about how we have those budget cuts, and I'm going to get off on a rant here. This is a separate ticketed event where people are paying separate money to be in the park. It's not like Mardi Gras, and it's not like Christmas where if you have that regular park ticket. Yeah. So you shouldn't be cutting the budget for the one where it's actually the ticketed event.
Yeah, your money-making event should not have a budget cut on it.
And especially now when attendance is going down, comedy's getting, you got to give people a reason to want to spend that hard-earned dollar to get there. And if they know if word's getting out, you're cutting the budget, it's not a good look.
Cut Mardi Gras, cut Christmas. I mean, your diehards, we don't care. Cut Christmas. We don't go to that anyway.
Well, I mean, I go to it, but so all that being said, we've talked about budget cuts. How would you rank this scare zone on the Goldblum scale?
The Goldblums, I'm gonna give it 3.5 Goldblums.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2.5, a little bit lower. Like I said, just all those cons that we talked about just factors into me and brings me down.
Yeah.
So moving on then to Swamp of the Undead. Through that little corridor there, we always have great lighting and the fog effects in Central Park. So I'm going to kick it with me first. I actually thought this was the best that they've done in Central Park since we've been going back post-COVID. I really loved I loved the zombies. I loved how if you start on one end of Central Park, they looked like you and I, where they just were freshly turned, fresh bodies. But the deeper you get into the swamp, they're more decayed,
more rotted,
and I love that. I love the gator up there with its tail wagging and stuff. All the set pieces they had in there.
Sets were great, yeah.
Where it looked like you're on the bayou. Just there's a lot to love here, and then with it being like when the sun goes down and it's dark, gives them perfect opportunity to really scare you. Like we always talk about, like you're in a house. They had like a lot of good boo holes here and can really get you. So
yeah.
I thought this one was really well done. How about yourself?
Yeah, the set pieces in this were great. I know the I don't remember the name of that kind of boat, the swamp boat, you know, with the body stuck in it, the old shack that they have, an old shack sitting up there in the background. I think the set pieces are great. I like this zone a lot. I actually like it better than the Oddfellow zone that was in there last year.
Yeah.
And,
I do too. I'm with you on that.
And I feel like the lighting was great. If they could just especially dial in that lighting that looks like water, where it has the moving waves.
Yeah.
If they could just dial that in a little more and have that low flowing fog that flows to the ground, then it would be epic for sure.
Awesome.
But yeah, overall it was a good zone.
Okay. Well, as far as the Goldblum skull goes, I have to give this one. I'm gonna go a 3.5 out of 5. I really, like I said, I really like this one. This is the first time in a while where I didn't feel like. Obviously, it's the same amount of space as it is every year, but it just didn't feel as short for me this time because there was so much to look at and you could really take your time. And I don't know if it's where the crowds were down. It just didn't feel as packed as it normally does when we're going through either. But maybe we just get on good runs. So, how about yourself? How would you rate it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4 Goldblums on this one for me because this one really did it. So yeah, 4 Goldblums.
Good deal. Well, then moving back around to the part where we're going to go to the San Francisco area, and we have the Horrors of Bloomhouse. And I know this one personally for you was one that had you worried when they first announced it. So, kick it to you. Let us know were your fears realized, or were you pleasantly surprised by this scare zone?
Yeah, they came to light during this zone. I personally feel like this zone was worse than Crypt TV. Because at least in Crypt TV they had their little stages and their own little lighting packages and their own things they could do. Now what I would have done different is myself, I would have had, imagine this zone. So imagine you're going to do Blumhouse characters. Okay, Blumhouse has a lot of characters to pick from. What I would have had is I would have had that old police car out there with the lights going.
Right.
Fog that out so you got red and blue lights coming through the fog. I would have had the grabber van in there. With the black balloons.
That'd be a good photo op.
A good photo op. I would have had at least 4 Megans who would come together and dance and then all of a sudden split apart and run and start attacking and scaring. And then I would have had your black phone. I would have had your big bear from the Imaginary, your Purge characters in there. I would have had them all in there.
Right.
My goal for this zone would have been all of the characters have broken loose from the film world and are now in the human world. They're coming to get you.
Right.
And just had 2 or 3, because the grabber has several different outfits.
Right.
I would have had all those grabbers. 3, 4 grabbers, 3, 4 Megans, 2 or 3 Purge characters, the big bear. All those characters would have been in there. But they didn't do that, and instead you got a glorified just stage. And it got really crowded, and then I think a couple of our runs it was even raining, so there weren't anybody in there at all.
Right.
And you just had the sound of that damn phone ringing over and over again. So for me, I'm going to say for this one, I'm going to do 2 Goldblums because it definitely let me down.
Now this one, I enjoyed it, and honestly for a lot of the reasons you stated. Like, there's a lot of good photo ops, and I thought they did a great job as far as mugging for you. All the ones in the streets got some good footage of them. I'm not a big Blumhouse fan. Like, some of them hit and miss. I love the black phone. Freaky, I like. Okay, like well enough, and it's not going to be something I pick out and have to watch a lot. But I do dig I dig the premise of it, how it's like Freaky Friday thrown into a horror movie.
And have those guys in there too. Have multiple butchers.
Purge, Take or Leave It, Happy Death Day. Now I was pleasantly surprised by that one.
Right.
But I love the lighting in the zone at night. I love those green neon lights. I love how they had their own set pieces where Finn's got the phone. Then you got, like I said, the grabbers interchanging out, and then You got the I can't remember what his name is on Freaky where he's on his end. Purge characters, they're fine. Some of them are great in the street where interacting with you and actually would toy with you. Like I know the one dressed in the American outfit. He followed me down the street.
Yeah,
followed me down the street behind.
The actors were great. I just think they didn't have enough to work with. There. Like make it feel like a zone. Like make it feel like the film has come to life.
Yeah, I liked it a whole lot better. Maybe it's because last year at San Francisco, I can't remember the name of the zone.
Yeah, it just had them all in the cages.
Yeah, to me it was a hodgepodge because you
Right.
had like the vamp from the Hive out there and all that fun stuff. But now, me personally, I give this one a 4 out of 5 just because I loved how interactive the characters were. Like if they're interactive and they're mugging with me, and not only when I have my camera, just like I'm walking down the zone, you get bonus points from me because then it lets me know you're there, you're having a good time, and like I said, so this one definitely saved by the scare actors themselves. I thought the scare actors in this one just top notch.
Yeah, they were great. I will give them that.
So moving back down then to New York City, down there near the Mummy, we got Torture Fair.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a pleasant surprise for me. Like I didn't know I didn't know exactly if it was going to be almost like present day, but you're like in a crazy Renaissance fair. It was like it's gone wrong, or if you're supposed to be set back in that time. And so obviously you were set back in that time. I thought they'd done a good job with it. The actors were great. Budget cuts happened again because you see they did have a lot of set pieces, but you could see they were just redressed and redecorated from last year.
From Vamp, yep.
And they could have done a better job. Like it's one of those things. Like I said, if I notice it, then that's a bad thing. Like you should be able to distinguish that it's something different.
Yeah.
But overall, like I said, they had a good mix of good costumes in there. You had like a Merlin-looking dude, looked like a wizard. You had the torture racks. You had like the smoking pig, whatever you call what do you call that thing?
The Brazen Bull.
Yeah, there you go.
The Blood Eagle was in there.
Yeah, the Blood Eagle's in there. Fantastic stuff. I love the King and Queen whenever Sinister comes out and does her show with them.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 just because I love the mood of it. It actually has a lot more blood and gore in this one where it has the bodies hanging upside down.
Yeah, this one did do that.
And so this one felt the most of a true scare zone for me as far as blood and gore and those horror aspects for it. So for me, I give it a 4 Goldblums out of 5.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to stick there, and I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 Goldblums as well. I like everything you said. I like the blood. I like the gore. I like the music. Mm-hmm. I like the actors. And I do like the ceremony with the King and Queen and the Iron Maiden when they would open that up and all that stuff. I actually like this zone better than Vamp 69 from last year. So I will give it 4 Goldblums for that reason, that I felt pretty good in this zone, and I liked it, and I like what they did with it. I think that I like Treats from 31 better, but as far as it goes, this would be right under Treats from 31 for me.
It's hard for me to rank because it really depends on my mood if we're going those three, just because each one of them has their own charm to them. Like you got Vamp 69 where it's set in the 60s and you got all that good music playing. Same goes with Sweets, how it's set in the 40s or 50s, and you got the music playing there too. And so all that appeals to my nostalgic strings where it's almost like, what mood am I in today?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It seems like New York always gets knocked out of the
New
park
York
for
does
me.
it really well. But one thing that they did not have this year that they have in the previous years is that tribute zone, or tribute store is connected to the scare zone somehow. To where
I didn't
like in the 31, you walk through the old dark ride, and then you come out and now you're in it's the 50s in the dark ride, and now you're in the 50s of Sweets,
right.
And last year was the old comic book store, and
I
go through the old
love
comic
that
book
one.
store of the 60s and 70s, and now you're out in the 60s zone. And this year the tribute store didn't flow with that, so that kind of took it down for me. But yeah,
I agree with that. So there you have it, friends and fiends. Those are our reviews and ratings, not our rankings though. We will have another episode where we were going to rank our personal favorite scare zones this year from top to bottom. So make sure you stick with us to watch that. But also leave in the comments, how did you feel about the scare zones this year? How would you rate them? Use the Goldblum scale. We love that as well. But make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. And Evil Adam, you got any parting words for our, the friends and fiends out there?
No, just let us know what you think about these zones, and remember to stay spooky.
Yeah. So who's the ghost with the most?